I'm a big fan of the DJI Mini 4 Pro, but by testing it alongside the Air3s, can I be tempted to also buy that drone with my own money? Alex, who's been a friend of the channel right since we started, drove over to Conway with his Air3s to try and persuade me to buy the latest drone.
So we've got all these different locations we want to go, but it gets addictive being in these beautiful spots.
By now I'm sure you're sick of all the YouTube shills yapping away reading off the spec sheet, so we're going to try and demonstrate more real world use case between the Mini 4 Pro compared to the Air3s. We've got some side-by-sides, low light tests, propeller noise test, as well as talking about a bug that I did notice. First, let's try a little guessing game. Can you tell which is the Air3s and which is the Mini 4 Pro? Drone A or Drone B? Drone A was the Mini 4 Pro and Drone B was the Air3s. Let me know in the comments, could you actually tell? For these side-by-sides we're going to use D-Log-M, sharpness -2 and noise reduction -2 on both drones. We'll add the relevant DJI LUT on top. Whilst I was actually out looking at the controller, I couldn't see a huge difference between the two drones. The colours look similar. Slightly more saturated greens on the Air3s and also brighter mid-tones. As we start to crop in more, we are starting to see more detail, of course, on the Air3s. You can certainly see more of the texture of the castle. Now, if we want to get more savage, we can zoom in on the shadows. On the Mini 4 Pro, the noise is quite noticeable. Still some noise on the Air3s, but much less noticeable. So you are going to have more flexibility with the Air3s. And of course, you've also got the 70mm lens.
Let's do a little pan here. The slide, sorry. The slide motion there. That is a nice reveal. I think that's my favourite shot so far here. It's a very unique shot, isn't it? It's like kind of...
It's amazing, yeah.
See, even that's quite a nice shot, isn't it? Where it's, I haven't really thought about it too much, but you're using like... Yeah, for sure.
There's a lot of them.
Now, for some weird reason, the bits rate isn't as high on the Air3s as the Air3. I think it's 130 megabits, whereas it was 150 on the Air3, which is not quite sure why DJI have done that. Maybe it's to do with when the Mavic 4 Pro comes out, they can say, right, this is the new feature. Of course, then you'll get the variable aperture. And I've been having a little bit of a debate with Alex, because he is a professional drone pilot. Is he happy enough with the Air3s? Will this be his drone of choice over the next few years? And he's pretty convinced it will be. The Air3s is more than good enough for professional work, but if you're going to be hired at a very high level just for your drone, that's when it does get highly competitive. So you might want to consider waiting for the Mavic 4 Pro. Does the lack of fixed aperture bother you?
No, we've got ND filters for that. I know, again, yeah, people do. I would have preferred aperture because obviously it's up in the air, so you can't just basically change on the fly. But if you were set up properly and plan ahead, it's not an issue. Yeah.
It's definitely a greener image, isn't it, on the Mavic 3 Classic? But it's not a big, I mean, we've got the same white balance on both.
Yeah,
but it's not.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a softer image on the Mavic.
The jobs Alex does, those construction site jobs, that just, they've got a unique perspective they've never seen before. Easily going to pay off your Air3s quite quickly.
It's a combination of the established shots and then the close-up detail shots with the 70mm that really sell it, I'd say.
Every time we stop, Alex is like, he keeps saying, you're going to buy this drone. You're
on Amazon tonight.
He's worse of a salesman than YouTube shills. You know what I mean? He's going around like, you want it, you know you want it.
You'd think I was paid to save it, but I'm not. I'm just saying, from all the experience of all the drones I've had, this is definitely a step up.
Yeah.
New technology, new sensor. Yeah.
The only thing that I'm like, because I like to focus on what I'm doing, and I worry that with that, yeah, I get the compressed image and all that, but then at the same time, you can be an incredible photographer that uses a prime lens, and you just find your shot. So, you know, if you guys like me are still weighing it up, you know, the Mini 5 Pro will come out, and then that'll have the 1-inch, probably have the 1-inch sensor, and then we'll at least have very similar video quality, if not exactly the same, on that one lens. But depending on the type of work you want to do, I could 100% see the benefit of the zoom, 100%. This is literally perfect, isn't it, for that 70mm shot, the lighting on this castle. I mean, I did get some good shots with the Mini 4 Pro, but it took me playing around with the angle more, a little bit less flexibility. I had to really isolate it above the horizon line, and was finally happy with the shot. I'm going to do a quick propeller test with all 4 drones. Mini 4 Pro. Right, so quick test of the Air3s. Right, so Mavic 3 Classic. Okay, and this is the Air2s. The Mavic 3 Classic was definitely the loudest, but Mini 4 Pro the quietest, then Air3s. But you guys let me know, what did you think? I was just doing a return to home, and it just went off, didn't it?
Straight into a tree almost.
Was it? Mm. Whoa, what's going on there? That's I hope I was I don't know if I was screen recording. Don't think I was.
Was it in sport mode?
No, it was in normal.
Oh, okay.
And it did something funny with the return to home. Now, I don't know how well I documented that, but you noticed that as well, didn't you?
Yeah. You had to basically interfere and stop.
This is what the shields don't tell you on YouTube.
Right.
The Air3s has been a brilliant drone. It's been incredible today. And I'm not saying don't buy it, but there's these little quirks with the new drone, I'm just saying.
Let's try some low light comparisons. The night mode on Mini 4 Pro was far too bright, too over sharpened, so I quickly got rid of that. Instead, let's compare both drones in D-Log-M and ISO 800. As you'll see, there was a fair amount of noise on the Mini 4 Pro, a lot less on the Air3s as you'd expect. If you notice the stone here on both shots, there is a big difference, and if we zoom in on the castle, a lot more noise on the Mini 4 Pro and also less detail. Let's apply neat noise reduction to both drones, and then it certainly narrows the gap between the pair of them. Of course, the Air3s still wins in terms of detail on the zoomed in shots, but I think for a small drone, the Mini 4 Pro actually holds up pretty well. As a reference, let's have a look at the Air2s at ISO 800 and then 1600. Both shots are unusable. And do remember with the Mini 4 Pro, if you're filming that first 10 to 15 minutes of blue hour, you can get some really good footage. The 70mm lens on the Air3s does have a really unique look at night. With the right subject matter, you can capture some really unique shots. But with the smaller sensor on that lens, it's certainly not a low light beast. Just check out some of the noise in the grass. Those of you guys waiting for the Mavic 4 Pro, you can certainly expect a big upgrade in the low light performance. Low light photos between the Mini 4 Pro and the Air3s. Again, the Air3s has more detail, as you'd expect with a larger sensor. Please do bear in mind though that it's not true 50 megapixels as the marketing guys tell us, it's 12 megapixels upscaled. The Air3s has a huge amount of potential to create some unique shots as a vlogging drone. Alex used spotlight mode on these scenes and just made small movements with the drone. Even as I went into the castle to see if I could lose the drone, it waited and quickly regained the track once I reappeared. Now, I personally found the active track to be a little bit unpredictable for solo vlogging, and you've also got to hold the controller, which can look a little bit awkward unless you're actually talking about the drone. We did have a close call with the obstacle avoidance, and although the sensors did eventually beep, the drone seemed to get confused between the texture of the branches and the quarry in the background.
Overall, are you happy with your purchase?
Yeah, absolutely.
How close are you to shilling this to me?
Well, I've already been trying all day. And have I got anywhere?
It's got closer. I'm not 100% sure yet, but I'd say I'm 20% more likely to buy the drone.
Okay.
I mean, it's getting there. It's like these little chinks in the armor that I'm not quite sure about. The thing is, right, the only thing that puts me off, and bear this in mind, guys, is I got into drones before I got into other things, really, with video production. And I didn't realise how much faster drones devalue compared to, say, your tripods.
50% in a year, basically, I've noticed, yeah.
It's crazy. So do bear that in mind, guys, if you're buying this drone. Like, make sure you've got a lot of plans to use it over the next year, because otherwise, if it's sat on your shelf and you're not using it, you're just seeing the money slip away. Whereas if you get high-quality lavs, microphones, they just hold their value. Do you know what? I've decided I'm very happy with my Mini 4 Pro. I might buy the Air3s if the story needs that compressed 3x zoom lens. Rather than thinking about what takes the coolest shot, can I tell the story better with that extra lens? That is going to be the key question. I'm not so concerned about the pixel peeping, although the low light would be nice. In the United Kingdom, I'm not going to be able to fly the Air3s in the areas that I know will take incredible shots. The Mini 5 Pro, that's going to be a very difficult decision. I'm just going to flip a coin about whether I buy that drone, I think. Because I think we are slightly in danger now where drone channels are becoming a little bit like door-to-door salesmen. You know you want the latest drone. It's a fantastic drone. I can see your current drone. It's out of date. 1-inch sensor. Bar my beginner cheat sheets. We should also mention, because probably with this video I've been a little bit biased about talking about all these cool new things on the Air3s. Remember the strengths of the Mini 4 Pro. The fact that you can be in a situation where, and this has happened to me many times, it happened the other day in Swallow Falls, I don't think I would have flown the Air3s. I think I'd have found that there were people, they weren't right by me, but they would have caused a scene by flying the Air3s. The Mini 4 Pro is great for just, do I fly my drone, don't I? Yeah, it's quiet enough, it's small enough, it's not going to disturb people. Maybe some of you guys will see a little family having a picnic and you'll set off your Inspire 2 or whatever, that's up to you. But for me, I know what I'm like, and I don't like disturbing people too much. It's important to remember a lot of people are going to own both drones. It can be a horses for courses scenario. Even Alex, he also owns the Mini 4 Pro. So remember that, and if you are going to own both drones, it's nice to know that for the colour grading, the colours are fairly similar. Now, there is a little bit of a difference, as I mentioned before, but if we compare the colours on the Air 2s or the Mavic 3 Classic, they've got a much cooler look. So if you're going to own both drones and there might be certain areas you can't fly the Air3s, it's nice to know the colour grading should be fairly straightforward. By the way, I mentioned before about bitrate, which the maximum bitrate is actually higher on the Air 3 and the Mini 4 Pro than the Air3s, 150 on the older drones, whereas up to 130 megabits per second on the Air3s. Now, to give DJI a chance, they've seen on their forum, they responded and they say, "Hi there, we understand your concern. The DJI AIR3s utilises the latest encoding algorithm, which optimises bitrate by over 30% while maintaining superior video quality." So that's their take on it. Whether you believe them or not, I suppose the video quality does look superior, but can we always trust the marketing guys? I'll leave you guys to decide on that. Not saying don't get the Air3s. If you can afford it, get both of them, but as a videographer, I tend to steer people first towards like long-term investments, because drones are, they're the latest tech and it's exciting, but you've got to decide at what point you're happy with what you've got and then when do you upgrade. Only you can really decide that based on your priority lists. We'll see you soon.